All right. I finally have all my gear together. We're at the park. Dolores Park on a Saturday. And Adam and I have come out to canvass the park and talk to people about the podcast. Face to face, in person. This is a nice day. I see people out laying around. Got some volleyball games going. People with laptops. Lots of blankets, groups. Lots of people here. It's pretty crowded. And I'm not sure where Adam is. Let's see here. I think I see him over there. All right, definitely that's him. Okay. Walking with a banner. Here we go. What's up, Adam?
You guys some podcast listeners? I bet you are. Don't lie. There you go. We're going to record up here in a second. Solutions from the Multiverse. Did we talk? I can't remember if I talked to those people already. I think I did. They looked at me like this. And I was like, the dead silence response. Like,
just a blank stare back at you?
They just fight like 7 people. Like, podcasts? Like, do you live under a rock? They don't even know what a podcast is.
I mean, I don't think we should take the attitude that we're the cool ones for knowing more about podcasts.
That's right. We're not the cool ones. We're the dumb ones. You guys like podcasts? We're actually recording one right now as we walk around.
Wow,
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We do. We were just talking about podcasts, actually. What is this about? Yeah.
Every week, an unheard of solution, a new and unheard of solution to the world's problems.
He's the idea man. He comes up with ideas. I try to shoot holes in them, but
yeah, I love that.
we talk about them, and yeah.
Nice.
Local dudes.
Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Right on.
Check it out.
Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah. Try it out.
This is great. This is uncomfortable for me. I am not an extrovert at all.
No, it's good. It's working. Oh my God, you're reading the best book in existence. This is the best book in existence here.
We're admiring your book.
You're reading the Bhagavad Gita, the greatest book in existence.
We're both big fans.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of Bhagavad Gita?
I love it. Yeah, I read it in Hawaii on a beach.
No way.
Yeah, I love it.
I read it once in Thailand on a beach. Yes.
Well, I endorse. A total stranger that you've never met before totally endorses
Total
it.
endorsement. Total endorsement.
Can't ask for a stronger recommendation.
But yeah, check it out. Enjoy.
Thanks for letting us bug you. Enjoy the bug. Right on.
What is the podcast about?
It's basically like a new solution every week that you've never heard before to the world's problems. I'm like a zany professor. I've got all kinds of ideas.
Yeah, but it's fun. We're proud of it.
Like, could you give a description of today?
It is, but he doesn't know it yet.
I don't know.
I don't want to.
Do you want me to? Should I walk away?
You want to walk?
I don't actually. I won't know until he brings it up, and then
this
we'll talk
episode will
about
come out in 2 weeks. He doesn't know the problem or the solution. It's always a different problem too. Although we did do like the last 8 episodes were like climate.
Okay, I'll step away and you can tell them.
Okay.
Hello.
What is the Multiverse?
We are making a podcast. We make a podcast every week, and this is Adam brings in solutions. He's like, oh, this is the ideas. There are other universes where the problems that we have here are already solved. So I'm just going to go look in those other universes, pull the solutions, and bring them here. So it's a way we can talk about interesting solutions to problems facing us, like voting problems or education issues or poverty, wealth stuff, different problems that this guy comes up with, and we talk about it every week. It's pretty fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We saw you from far away, and I
Yes.
was like, what is the multiverse?
That's it. That's it.
Like, at the beginning, we thought you were like from, how do you say, this church of, what did I say? Scientologist.
The Scientology,
I was
yeah.
like, what are they?
We could be like Scientologists for sure.
Yeah.
But no, we're even worse. We're coming out telling about our podcast. If there's one thing worse than like proselytizing about
No,
religion.
but I was very curious, I was like, I hope they will come.
That's it. We're making it.
Because I'm somewhat curious.
Oh man, well you're making my day because I am such an introvert. I'm scared to do this. This is my friend's idea, Adam's idea. So
Really? So
Yeah.
this is the first time you're doing it?
First time we're going out in public and doing this. Yeah. Normally are recording at Adam's house.
So you're talking together.
Talking together, and sometimes we have a guest, but usually it's just the two of us talking.
And what is your background then?
I'm a comedy guy. I make podcasts. I actually work in podcasting.
Okay.
So that's what I do. And he's a professor. He teaches coding, and he's actually starting a new college right now as well. But yeah, Adam's also just a well-read. He's like a curious guy.
Okay.
So he's always thinking and writing down stuff.
Now I know what this is about.
It's Multiverse, hopefully. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Good to meet you. Thanks for chatting.
Oh, cool.
Do you guys know more than me now?
Yeah, we do. We had a great.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Awesome. Well, check it out, and yeah.
Very cool.
We're gonna keep
Thanks for letting us pester you. Adam, wait, somebody asking over here.
They want a card?
I told them yes. They were asking what the multiverse was.
Oh, what is the multiverse?
I tried to explain it.
Hey, Multiverse guy, how you doing?
You know what the multiverse is? Doesn't everyone know?
Just explain it to me.
It's the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics.
Well, that's not what I said. That's
You say this is parallel universe where we
Yeah.
solve the
All the problems are already solved.
yeah, you ask what the multiverse is. He says Copenhagen science, and I say, you remember the Spider-Man movie that just came out?
That's right. That's right.
So what's the problem today?
Can't tell you because he doesn't know you.
I'm not allowed to know. Okay.
Great chatting.
Good to meet you. Thank you. Thanks for letting us take your time.
Take care. I see some nerds. We need nerds.
What?
Nerds are. I don't know. I don't see. I can't tell if any of these nerds are going to be good. I don't know. Maybe these guys.
We're walking around with headphones and a microphone in the park. I think we're the nerds.
Solutions from the multiverse. Yeah, right here. We're going to record it. You want to check it out?
We're good. We're good.
It's okay. It's okay. You guys, our podcast queues are full. I get it. Yeah. Let's see.
Was that your first turn down?
No, third, fourth. You guys like podcasts? We're going to record one right here in a second. Check it out.
Thanks for letting us know. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Maybe we do another just 5 minutes.
Wait, what is this? What is conversation starter?
So this is it. So what happens? I hold the sign. You guys come up and ask me what's conversation starter. I tell you pick a card.
Oh, Scott.
Go ahead.
Pick a card.
I'll pick a card.
Okay.
This one.
And then there's a question.
All right. Do I read this or?
Read it out loud.
When you think of home, what immediately comes to mind?
This is right now.
When I think of home, what immediately comes to mind, I mean, just Kansas. That's where I grew up. So I think of Kansas, and that brings to mind, like, all my friends and family and everything that I grew up with, like, good times growing up,
Yeah.
not having to have a job.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's home.
How about you?
When I immediately think about a home, I guess I think about like just like the kitchen, you know, smells of the kitchen, like rice being made, or like I like to bake, so baking in the kitchen, or my mom would make pies, pumpkin pie and apple pie, or like my wife makes good food, and I just think that's kind of the heart, you know,
Yeah,
kind of
that's
the
really
center
good.
of
That's
it.
very good. For me, I think of an apartment complex. I grew up in this like apartment complex where I look now, I know what's happening now, but like it was at a university, but a lot of the families had kids, and all of us would just like, it was like every morning run outside and you could just have 20 kids of us playing there. So like I always think of that like apartment, you know, like going outside the apartment complex as home. It's funny now because the apartment complex is still there, but the friends aren't there because it was like a transient place naturally. But I go there and I don't know any of the kids, but I'm like, I know exactly what you guys are feeling.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We're losing that.
I know.
Society's losing play.
I know.
It's like the Cat Stevens song, Where Will the Children Play?
And I'm Scott. This is Adam.
Okay.
I don't think I got your name.
I'm Kyle.
Kyle, nice to meet
Scott.
you, sir. Good to
Adam.
meet
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm doing. I'm here talking to people about
you. This is great.
all sorts of stuff.
I love that.
What you guys are up to?
I love
We do a
that.
podcast where every week we do a new solution.
Okay.
Unheard of solution to the world's problems.
Oh, very good.
I bet you've got a few of those.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So we pick one. Adam has a big book full of these things, and he picks one out. We dive into it for a half hour, an hour or so, and
I love it.
test it out, see what it would look like. What would this look like in reality? Try to think it through.
Okay, I love it. Oh, you guys talking
We're
today?
going to go record. We're actually recording right
oh,
now.
you're
but then we're
recording
going to
now.
record.
I'm recording this whole thing as we go and talk to people, but also then we're going to sit down and do a real one where
Very nice.
we just get into it. I don't even know. But if you have an idea or a solution you want to bring to us, we will.
Great.
Or you're like, I'm worried about this thing in the world. world.
Okay.
Bring it up, and I mean, right now would be great, and we'll tackle it in a future one. What do you got for it?
So the question that I'm interested in and trying to kind of solve here is, how do you signal to people that you're willing to have a conversation when you're in a group of people, right? Because my challenge is when I went to, my friends are like, oh, let's go to events to meet people. And you go to an event, and it might be like a bar or a club or a book, around a book or whatever, and it's always centered around something else. But how do you signal to people that I'm willing to talk, right? I actually want to have this kind of conversation. The way I've solved this right now is I'm holding up a sign in public, right? And I'm just trying to signal to people that I want to have that. But I think that, people always say people used to talk more back in the day, or people are more willing. And I don't know if it's actually that they were more willing. I think that there's probably just as many people who are willing to have a conversation. They just don't know how to signal to each other
to start
that we want to do that.
Yeah.
So, other than being outrageously extroverted, other than being outrageous. Okay, tell me.
Scott, you have a solution to this.
What?
The Brazilian steakhouse solution. At a Brazilian steakhouse, you have a little card. It's red on one side, it's green on the other. When you want more meat, you turn it to green. When you want no meat, you turn it to red.
Yes,
we need the conversation Brazilian steakhouse red-green card.
Exactly.
And you just wear it on your chest.
And it's like, stop.
Red, I'm good. Green.
I'm comboed out.
Bright green is like, please talk to me. Please. I'm having a day. I really need
someone show up.
Interaction.
That's just silly, but
that's good.
Yeah, I guess it makes me be interested or question then, like, so we have conversations. Do we have it just for the sake of having conversations, or is there kind of a goal that having conversations is getting us to? Is it a means or an end for you?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I treat it as you do it for the sake of it. Now, there are certain conversations I'd rather have, definitely, right? Like, they're not evenly distributed in terms of my preference. But I don't know. I have to just be open to it and then find those. I don't know if I'm going like, I only want to have this kinds of conversation. I think I'll miss out on a bunch of interesting things.
Are you trying to have conversations to make more friends? Because friends are known to be very good for you and very happy.
I think it's like make friends. I like interesting thoughts, and other people have thoughts that are interesting that aren't mine.
But it's not like I want to grow my network so that I can get a job.
But even those people, like,
I'm
okay. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think about it like what are they? Open world games. That's what all conversations are, right? Where you just like start one, and you just kind of like. It kind of can, maybe it turns into a networking. Maybe it turns to a friend. Maybe it turns to your spouse. Maybe it turns to just like, they tell you a joke that you steal from them and you tell everywhere you go now, right? You treat it as your own. Yeah. But I don't know.
That's not very specific. What joke are you thinking?
I know. I have one that I need to think. But I don't know. Does that count as a means or an end?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like it would be both, right? Yeah. But I was wondering if for you it was like an end in itself. Conversation is inherently pleasurable, inherently eudaimonia inducing.
It's like one of the things I want to optimize for is living an interesting life. And what I mean, and like for that, I just want to have stuff that I'm like, oh, that was like worth living. That was fun to do. Yeah. And being open to other people is a great way to find things, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the way I get to people is through conversation. That's like the entrance door, right?
If you were like a master tango dancer, then you would just want to tango with everyone.
Yeah, then you're just.
But you're
yeah. But what I want to do is I want to talk to the podcast guys. I want to talk to the tango guy. I want to talk to the
everybody.
Yeah. I just want to get a little bit of everything.
So if you come out, do you do this often, or is this a thing that you regularly are?
Often. There's a regular calendar. We have an events calendar where we're doing it.
Wait, we?
Oh yes, we're an organization.
Oh my gosh! Wait, it's like two people like us, or
yes, I see the Hark.sf at your.
Hark.sf. Yeah, so we're a team of 6 people. All volunteer right now. That we just help organize events to start conversations with people. So you see, like. These guys have a sign. They're doing it. Yeah. There's other groups of people just having conversations. But that's it. Yeah, I like to. I guess. Let me ask you guys about podcasts.
Yeah.
Because, for example, for me, I guess I had no idea what I was going to talk to you guys about today. Right? I had no idea.
You didn't have an idea. He has a microphone in earbuds.
I look pretty weird.
No, sorry. I'm saying before I got here.
Before I got here. But as we walked up, it was pretty obvious.
the thing I think about podcasts, you guys have to know what you're talking about before, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, I mean that's what you want to do. You want to take care of the listeners,
That's
time.
right. Yeah, that's true.
So
That's
to not just be like, what do we talk about?
Yeah, see, the stakes are way higher for me. I can come up here and be like, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? And people will still engage with me, kind of, right?
Have you ever heard of the Great Conversation?
No, tell me.
That's like a thing in academia, which is like where you talk about. It's the idea is that like, Plato wrote a book or did his project philosophically, and then Aristotle like responded to his like a conversation, and then other people a thousand years later, Kierkegaard had things to say to Aristotle, so he wrote, and then we read the books, and then talk, and then we are now in conversation with this thousands of year old conversation that's happening through the sort of web of history, or the sort of braid of history. Anyways, that's called the Great Conversation.
I like that.
I went to a school where that was what we did.
What'd you study? Philosophy?
Yeah,
You studied
Great Conversation. It's called the Great Books or the Great Conversation.
Oh, did you take the class? Did you study philosophy?
Well, it's a very specialized school. There's only 75 people graduate every year. It's all Great Conversation. And that's what you do every class. You sit and talk for 2 hours.
Tell me more.
Yeah, you meet Mondays and Thursdays are a seminar in the evenings, and you meet and you have 2 professors so that it isn't dominated by one voice.
Yes.
So the classes have 2 professors and like 25 students, and you talk for 2 hours about one of the great books.
That's interesting. So I studied psychology, but I sat into all the philosophy classes at my campus. I should have just majored in philosophy. I don't know why I didn't. But so as a result of that, I had a lot of exposure to lots of these great books.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear what's your favorite conversation or favorite book or most impactful to you throughout that?
We just met a guy reading the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
And I was like, that's the best book ever written.
Really?
That's a great book. Yeah.
Okay, I know. Okay.
Do you have a best book?
Best book? I can tell you what's the most impactful for me right now.
Yeah.
In general, broader thought, like Nietzsche really impacted me. Like,
which one?
Beyond Good and Evil and Genealogy of Morals. Like, really, like...
Evolution applied to Christianity.
Yeah. That like really...
Darwin screws up Christianity.
Yeah. That really... That's one that like impacted my worldview very much.
Yeah.
The one that's I thought a lot about right now is Kierkegaard.
Hey.
Fear and Trembling.
Fear and Trembling.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And this idea that...
That's a hard book. Kierkegaard is hard to read. I never understood Kierkegaard. I don't think I understood one word of Kierkegaard. It's so hard.
I was like, I'm in a group of friends of ours, so we try to problem solve it. And the idea that really struck me is I remixed the language to maybe a little more modern, but I think like conviction. I think Kierkegaard's question is, how do you deal with conviction, right? Yeah. Because it's so personal, right? You guys might both of you, right, might say, I want to start a podcast, and I know that's what I want to do.
Right.
And I can give you a bunch of reasons why it's a bad idea to start a podcast, right?
I don't know any of those.
Yeah, I can give you
I don't think there are any.
And you can still, and you can still be aware of those things. Like I can tell you those things exactly, and still have the conviction. And in that place, Kierkegaard uses Abraham about to kill his son Isaac as the example. But in that place, like I can't reason with you anymore, right? Because it's not rational.
Have you ever heard of crony beliefs? No. This is a very interesting topic that might be very germane to this idea. So there are 2 types. So this is a sort of psychological thing. There's 2 types of beliefs. Yeah. One is regular beliefs, and the other is crony beliefs. And you only get people are only offended when their crony beliefs are challenged. When their regular beliefs are challenged, they don't care. Like if you were like, let's go to this restaurant, and we were like, great, and then you were like, the restaurant is down there, over there, and then I looked on Google Maps and it was like, no, actually it's over there. You'd be like, oh, oops.
Yeah, sure.
You wouldn't care, right? Because it's just the factual, it just doesn't matter. Yeah. But if you were like, I really believe in democracy, and someone was like, no, actually democracies are too chaotic, we should have like an autocracy, one party system thing, you'd be like, no, I'm offended by that. And so there's this idea that crony beliefs are the beliefs that your identity relies on. And so when they're challenged, you push back because your identity is built as an organ of your psyche is built to sort of keep the field, protect the field, protect where you are. And so I wonder if conviction is really just a sort of another word in Kierkegaard's is another word for crony belief, but he's posing it almost as a positive.
Yes.
But the crony belief framing poses it as very much a negative, like an irrational or absurd concept. But that makes sense because he's an existentialist, so he's a bit of an absurdist. Yeah.
What he's going to say is calls them the Knights of Faith, right?
Yeah.
But he might, and I think there's like, I'm going to talk more about this current belief, but I think it's a good argument that this can be positive because some of the great works that we have from mankind are things that people started that made no sense, you know? Like some of the ideas, exactly. Are you just like...
But also some of the worst things.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's Kierkegaard's point. That's actually what Kierkegaard wants to say. Kierkegaard's like, before we actually see it play out, both of the insane person and the genius, like, they're both in a place that's irrational, right? And we can't actually have
So here's the problem with Kierkegaard for me, and you can like bring this to your group or whatever, and this is what I learned about him, which then made him incomprehensible to me, which is that he wrote all of his books with pseudonyms.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so he actually would embody these pseudonyms,
ideas.
Which means that he's not being honest.
Oh, that's it.
He's actually using irony in every one of his books. He even has a book called The Concept of Irony, which is like a signal, hey, I don't actually mean anything I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm embodying this character, which is the pseudonym, and I'm speaking from their convictions.
Yeah.
Is he like, no, that's not me. That's Kierkegaard. That's who wrote this book. That's not. I didn't write that. Completely different
He's an
name.
Icelandic philosopher named Kierkegaard.
Yeah, how would you think that's me?
Different than
this is the same as the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita also is nested narration.
Same idea.
And then also Plato's dialogues.
Yes.
Not just nested into the voice of Socrates, also nested into who's relating the dialogue.
Yes.
Every dialogue begins with, hey, do you remember when Socrates was talking to that guy? Yeah, what happened? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And then somebody else says it. So Kierkegaard is in that same tradition of like a nested pseudonymical irony is everything. So when he says that about conviction, he might be saying, don't have convictions. Convictions are what idiots have, you know?
Let me say two things to that.
Maybe.
Reply to that two things. One is, I was going to ask, do you think that's any different than like authors who write characters in a book, in a fictional book, and they might it's something that they've imagined, but the character's expressing some of their own
It's one
beliefs.
more level up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like in Don Quixote does this, right? At the very beginning of Don Quixote is like, I found this manuscript and I'm translating it, and it's like, what the hell is Cervantes saying? But he puts himself at one step removed, and it gives him like another axis of freedom. If you're on it, then you only have one axis of freedom.
But this comes ties to the crony beliefs, right? Should we have them? And do you think it's possible to not have them?
Well, I think the Buddha says that, you know, the path to wisdom is dissolution of the ego through compassion and mindfulness. I think when he talks about ego, I think he kind of means identity too. So I actually think we should try to sort of deal with the delusions that identity causes. Like, I don't think we should have convictions.
That's interesting.
I think we should try to eliminate delusions through critical analysis and wacky wisdom, wackiness as well, but also careful thinking and precise analysis of one's own crony beliefs.
Yeah.
And try to turn more of the world into normal beliefs and have fewer and fewer things in the world be crony beliefs. Yeah.
That's really interesting. And I don't
This is why you have this side.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm torn on this right now because I'm torn because I see a lot of the merit of that, right? I think it's like you should disengage with ideas once you're given contrary evidence that, allows you to go otherwise, and you should be willing
And
to
don't be butthurt about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I also recognize there are moments where you need conviction because you're facing such absurd times, right?
You don't have enough information to make a decision, so you have to make a decision.
Or I'm also thinking about being at war, right? Like, if I'm in a foxhole, I just have to I can't be doubting and thinking, like, just as a survival tactic, right? Just like, this is what...
Doubting everything, writing the Tractatus Logico-Philosophica.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, like, I think that there is a practical purpose in this conviction, in those moments, right? I'm sure you've had times in your life where you're like, at least for me, I can say, this makes no sense. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just going to do it purely off conviction. Right. And I look back and I'm like, that was irrational, but it's the tool I needed to help me get through that spot, right? And I do recognize,
you must have conviction because we have bounded knowledge and bounded rationality. And so, you don't have enough information. But the question is, I think, more about attitude. Is your attitude, this is the Bible and I believe it, kill all the infidels, which is a lot like it's two versus, this is interesting and I've learned a lot from that, but I'm willing to learn more and I'm ready to be wrong and I'm curious. I'm actually excited to be wrong because I want to keep having breakthroughs and keep resolving delusions and resolving Manichaean dichotomies of my categories in my mind. But the danger of what Kierkegaard I think is making fun of with irony is the idea that you should just be like, I've got the Bible and this is what I believe, and because I think a lot of Kierkegaard's project is to try to disrupt Hegelianism. And in his time the Hegelians were just totally lockstep psycho cultish Hegelians, and they just followed Hegel he was just God, and there was no way, there was no like space to like wedge in anything. And so he had to create these people, these fake pseudonym people who were Hegelians, but then who through irony were actually sort of fundamentally leading to a kind of disruption of Hegelian thought.
So let me ask you this about conviction, because one of the places I think where it's really practical is like your spouse and getting married. Right,
gotta get married.
You just do it. It's a thing. It's a decision you make purely on conviction. You have no idea what the rest of your life is going to be like. If you're both going to get sick or die. If you're going to be compatible forever. But you make this decision on a conviction, and you stay together because you made it on a conviction, right? Or like that's like it's one of the mechanisms people use to stay true to that. So how do you think about because that's an example where I say you kind of need an irrational conviction. Right, and I think that if you're in the kind of
I don't believe with your premise.
Okay.
Because we're monogamous creatures, so.
Okay. Let me finish. Yeah. Okay, so let me finish this. I'm not tied to this. I'm pitching the argument.
You're saying there are cases. Where you need to act.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't think marriage is, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that
marriage is great.
I use marriage as an example because I think it's a moment where you make a decision of conviction, and you have to there's going to be moments where maybe you're wavering and you're like, is this make sense? Should I let go of this conviction? Right? Yeah. But I think if you have that attitude, it might harm you in the broad scheme if that's how you approach every incident, right?
Is that you're kind of flip-flop? So you're saying you don't have stick-to-itiveness. If you don't have conviction, you want to stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah. Or there's a place, exactly. Yeah. And I think that there's I think for things that are rational, we're just like, hey, just let go of that idea, that makes sense.
Yeah. But philosopher, I think I'm reminded of what Steve Martin said about studying philosophy, because Steve Martin, the comedian, studied philosophy.
Oh, really?
And he said all the other majors gave you just enough that you could then get into the world, start a career, and you had just enough to make it to the next step and to succeed.
Yeah.
You study philosophy, they taught you just enough, not a lot, but just enough to screw you up for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And so maybe it is kind of impractical to have a philosophical attitude.
Yeah.
But that's putting the value of practicality over the value for truth.
That's interesting.
And that's maybe also the kind of craziness of the philosopher is that they put the value of truth over the value of practicality. Yes. They're an impractical way to approach life.
That's so interesting.
It can be practical, though. Do you know the story of the mathematician? I can't remember his name now. It starts with a TH, like a theta. Yeah. Anyways, there was this mathematician, famous astronomer mathematician, and he was walking and looking at the sky, and he fell into a hole and hurt himself. And everyone's like, oh, stupid, impractical philosopher fell into a hole right in front of his face because he was looking at the stars, And he got so mad that he was like, screw those guys. I'm going to use what I know about the weather to monopolize the olive presses.
Oh, really?
Because he predicted that there was going to be a big drought and all the olive presses would go out of business, and he bought up all the olive presses on credit, and then there was a bunch of rain and there was tons of olives, and he monopolized it, so he jacked up the prices, and he was like, screw you guys, because I the philosopher can actually be very practical if they decide to be. So you have to decide to do it, but it's not as fun as just doing philosophy. We better keep hustling here. So this is awesome. Well, we should be in touch.
I was going to say, can you tell me your name again?
Kyle Emil.
Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. This is cool. This was like,
I'd love
this
to
is
be
exactly
part of the conversation group.
Yes, absolutely. Scott Adam, right?
Scott and Adam.
Yep.
Great to meet you guys.
Kyle Emil.
Yes. I wish you guys the best on.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it so much.
It's such an interesting thing you've got going on. Awesome. podcast. We're about to record over there.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
check it out. Check it out, guys.
What is it called?
New Solutions from the Multiverse.
From the Multiverse.
Yeah.
I saw you were like walking
Interesting.
over there.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if you would come closer.
All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna check you guys out.
All right,
Thanks, man.
guys. Yeah.
I'm gonna stop this. Was this recording?